name is Annalise Anderson. Okay. Hello, my name is Annalise Anderson, and this is my audience. So, Andy Warhol is a name that can stir up a lot of images. Maybe it makes you think of a can of soup, or Marilyn Monroe, or maybe it just makes you think of the past. Whatever it conjures up, all of it is proof that Andy Warhol is a name in your brain, and for good reason. Andy Warhol, born Andrew Warhola, is an American icon. In short, he was an artist who was a leading figure in the visual arts movement known as pop art. And according to biography.com, his works explore the relationship between artistic expression and celebrity culture. He utilized a really vast variety of media, including painting, silk screening, photography, film, and sculpture. But that is not what makes him important. What makes Andy Warhol a notable figure in pop history is because Andy Warhol made icons out of icons. He disrupted the way that the world saw and made art. He established a new visibility for LGBTQ Americans, and ultimately he created a legacy. When he was alive, it seemed like Andy Warhol was everywhere, but dying has done nothing to diminish his popularity. In fact, it could be argued that of Warhol's death, as Gore Vidal said of Truman Capote's passing, was a good career move. In any event, Warhol had to start somewhere, and the art world was a much different place before he began in it. But ultimately, he disrupted the way that the world saw and made art. The pop art movement arose from a rebellion against abstract expressionist, which was considered by the pop artists to be over intense and really pretentious, which is ironic because most artists are kind of pretentious and over intense. Pop artists wanted to challenge the tradition that mass media and popular culture couldn't be considered fine art. And Andy Warhol had an obsession with mass media and pop culture, particularly Hollywood's fame and glamour. He used a photographic silkscreen technique to create his to create his famous portraits of Mick Jagger and Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, and Jacqueline Kennedy. And the process that he used allowed him to create a really large number of prints. And he specifically used a mass production technique because he thought that these celebrities themselves were mass produced. Pop art made art accessible to the layman. Ruth Ann Thorne of Crown Thorne Publishing states of pop art that she thinks that it's cross-cultural, that it's not about making a political statement. She says that it's the best form of art for anyone who might be intimidated by art. And the artist that personified this new genre of approachable art more than any other was Warhol. His painting of Marilyn Monroe and the Campbell soup can are by far the most famous icons of pop art. With Warhol's contributions to art itself reinvented itself more than ever before, and these reinventations are still highly appreciated today. Art no longer has guidelines and rules to follow. Because of this movement, everything and anything can be art. But beyond just changing the art world, Warhol's mysterious public life stood in direct contrast to the expected societal norms of the day and allowed a whole new visibility for the LGBTQ community. Warhol brought these LGBTQ lives into the public eye, and he created a discussion before there was a public community to discuss. What is most remembered about his personal life is his group of societal misfits known as the superstars. These were a group of New York City personalities who were promoted by Warhol during his career. They all lived and worked in Warhol's studio, which was known as the Factory. They also appeared in Warhol's artworks and accompanied him in his social life, and they kind of epitomized his famous quote that in the future everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. Before Warhol, a lot of artists had assistants who stretched and primed canvases or ran errands, and some even participated in making the actual artwork. But at the Factory, it was more like a small business. It was seen more as an entourage, less of just assistants. But Warhol kind of turned that idea on his head by saying, people thought it was me that everyone at the Factory was hanging around, but that's absolutely backward. It was me who was hanging around everyone else. I just paid the rent. The members of this group were all very eccentric and laid the groundwork for the club kids of the 80s and 90s, as well as the gay youth movement that is currently taking place in cities across America. But specifically by documenting his lifestyle, he brought the lives of people who would have previously been in hiding into the public. Warhol's superstars are an important aspect of the sexual revolution of the 1960s and 70s. Without them, the current status of LGBTQ Americans could be much different. Warhol's contribution to the art world, as well as to society, are why he ultimately created a legacy. These days, Warhol is a movement bordering on religion. Warhol created the model for so many of today's practices in dealing with business and art. In his 1975 book, The Philosophy of Andy Warhol, he made the first of his many notorious statements about business and art. He wrote that during the hippie era, people put down the idea of business. They'd say money is bad and working is bad, but making money is art, and working is art, and good business is the best art. Though this was a provocative thing to say at the time, provocation has been Warhol's modus operandi since he began, and ultimately a corporate world called for a corporate artist. However, Warhol didn't invent these stances that he's famous for. Salvador Dali, who was 24 years older, was a master of publicity, and he used his art world status to cash in, making TV commercials, doing store windows, and selling signed blank paper. And according to John O'Brien, Warhol just took it to the next level in a whole new way. He updated these strategies, practiced not only by Dali, but by most of the artists at the time. And that legacy continues today with numerous artists around the world, paintings and store life displays riff on fashion and advertising and globalization. So ultimately the question remains, was Warhol a great artist? If you evaluate greatness in terms of success and impact and influence, then he undoubtedly was. But if you look for elements of just creative genius and painterly craft, then that's more up for the viewer to decide. But one thing is true. He is an American icon who used his influence over art to change the sense of art itself, to legitimize the social movement, and to finalize the merge between business and art in a big way. Primed with his tools of the trade, Warhol went after the everyday and the celebrity, Campbell's soup cans and Marilyn Monroe, Coke bottles and Jackie Kennedy, a Brillo pad box and Elvis, Mao, Liz Taylor, Marlon Brando, an electric chair, a car crash, and then finally himself as a pop icon. Andy Warhol changed our sense of art, and maybe how we all see the world.